Alright, welcome back to another video. It's Friday, May 24th today. Planting corn right now. The custom corn planter's here. But it's time to haul equipment out of the shed because next week we're starting haylage. So, I'm going to grab this spine out. But first I got to grab the hay head. And then I might have to move the rotary rake before I get this spine out, although I think there's enough room. And then just some odds and ends. So, let's get into it. Alright, I got the hay head out. I put it on a skid. I got the forage blower out. Next I'm going to pull out the disc spine. Brought the forage blower over to the shop. You're supposed to have a gap in between, like a slight gap in between band and the blower paddles. The gap is supposed to be that you can drop a dime in between the band and the blower pedal, but a nickel will catch. This blower I have not been very happy with how it's been blowing feed. You can see in there, look at the gap. Looking at that gap right in there. Yeah, I'm pretty confident that I could stack quite a few. Yeah, I can push it down for you because the gap was a little exaggerated, but I can probably stack 3 nickels together and drop them straight down in the gap there. So this blower we're gonna have to rebuild, but I think for first cut the plan is we're gonna pull the band off and we're gonna flip the band and try and get this gap just set a little tighter, and then in between first and second cut we're gonna go and totally rebuild it. Yeah, just gonna put some money into it. It's pretty good other than that. Now the paint's rougher than it is because it sits in our cow yard. But yeah, that's that. So this piece of equipment needs some work and then it'll need a total rebuild. After watching the blower at Gordon's place, same case, 600, be able to unload all those 18-foot wagons just like that. I realized our blower's a little bit wore out and tired. So, yeah. Next up, we're going to pull the chrome disc spine out. Alright, blower's rebuilt. $1,500 later. New band was put on. New paddles were put on. You can see here, I got 2 coins. One's a dime and one's a nickel. The dime is supposed to be able to fall through, and the nickel isn't. So, if I can show you guys without dropping anything, I have our dime over here. You can see the dime sits in there. I wish there's a better way to show you, but now I'm grabbing our nickel. You can see there's our nickel. The nickel does not sit in there, which is exactly what we're looking for. And that's how I set the blower. With a new band and new paddles, I really just had to play with. One paddle was out a little further than it should have been. I had all the other paddles in the whole way. Then I just tightened up the band a little bit. So, we're all set. This piece of equipment is ready. I already greased everything. It turns over really easily now. So, I just have to set the cover and then we're ready to go. Alright, next up is this chrome disc spine. We're going to put a new set of knives on it and grease it. You can see I've already flipped the knives. I've wore them down pretty well to nothing. We're missing one of the end flaps. So, last year while cutting hay, when we do a field of hay, so I'm going to draw it. Big field, you cut your headlands off. Then, as opposed to running around the field like this, we split a field in the middle. When you split a field in the middle, you carve out counterclockwise turns. This disc spine to side on a counterclockwise turn, it gets a little light on that tire, that it was going to do a nosedive. There's photos up of it on Instagram. I'll put a photo up on the screen. So the rear wheel lifted up, front end took a nosedive and ripped that there. Very disappointed in this machine now. Cause yeah, it's not a center pivot. So Krone came out, they looked at it, and they said, yeah, you can't cut fields counterclockwise. You're not supposed to cut fields like that with it swung out. We've done it for years with the hay binds and all the old disc binds. But they said no with this one. And they said it would have been right around $3,000 to fix it, to put a new end flap on, and also just in here it's not perfect either. I said forget it to that. I have that end flap in the shop. It's looking not perfect, but pretty good. I could put it on, but I'm not going to put it on for first cut probably because it doesn't matter. But yeah, I have a hard time spending $3,000 on this thing when that's not a solution to the problem. Yeah, when you have a big 20-acre field, you are still going to cut the middle out. Could happen again. You throw $3,000 at it, bang, happens again. So, not going to do it. Instead, we're pocketing that $3,000. It's a nice cut and disc bind. It does a good job, but there's always just a little bit of something. It just quite hasn't lived up to the quality we were hoping. You can see here even, I know it's just a cheap shaft, but the shaft's given out. We've had issues with the bars at the back bending. They've warranted that. The rollers have blown up. We bought a Krone because we thought it would be really high quality, but it's kind of let us down a bit, and I'm a little disappointed in this disc bind. So, we're not going to fix that and dump $3,000 into it. We're just going to keep that money. It's not that we don't have $3,000 to fix it, it's just, why would I spend $3,000 fixing it if it's not going to improve anything in the grand scheme of things? So, I'm going to go ahead and throw new knives on. Krone has given us this tool built into the disc bind to help change knives. It's not a bad tool. It takes a little bit of getting used to. Slide it under. Then you pry up. It is pretty hard to get these knives out still with the tool. Last time it took me over an hour to flip them all. Yeah. So, it is what it is, but we'll get there. It's just a lot of tension on these rollers. Or on these cutters. There you go. Look at the wear difference on those two knives. Alright, last thing I'm going to complain about for today on this disc bind is the quick change knives. The handle is very picky where it's got to be. Can't pull over here because this bar's in the way. You have to be on either side of the bar. If I could change one thing, I'd change the front style here and I'd allow it to come out and hook onto there or flip up. It's just when I work under there, that's how much room I have. Not a lot of room. I really don't like that. Yeah, we bought this brand new, or Mom and Dad did. I was at school, so I didn't take a look at it. The next piece of equipment we buy, you're gonna take a look at. When we bought this rake, we looked at it. I didn't see anything I didn't like with it. There still isn't anything I don't like about it. But yeah, so a couple things I would have liked to change. I would have liked if the front could flip up or come out. But because this is just kind of some fabric, you can't do that. So yeah, just makes it very hard to change knives in there. So not the happiest when I had to do that job. Alright, I got a couple knives changed. Just so frustrating trying to change the knives under there. I don't know what it is. Just this spine and changing stuff, working on it. I just don't have it with. I don't like it. It's annoying. It's a pain. I'll happily work on any other piece of equipment we have all day. Worked on this tractor, that one, the blower. Tinker away on it for hours, and then it comes stuff like this, and it's just so frustrating. I don't know why, but this spine just gets me so fired up trying to work on it, and I get sick of it. So the rest of the knives look good. I'm gonna grease it up, check the oil in the gearbox, hook it up to the 2750, and we're gonna start cutting hay. Yeah, just changing those knives does not go well for me. There's too much, I guess, preload on them, holding them down, and I just get frustrated, so I'm just gonna leave it. So cut with them like that. I'm gonna hook it up and pull it out of the shed. Restoration. I guess I gotta back up more, but I got the hitch pin in. Alright, the next piece of equipment is this Ford's King wagon. I already went ahead and tightened up 2 chains, just a little bit. They were really loose before. So now we're on to oiling all the chains. And then greasing. Or grease and then oil, but yeah. It's good. A lot of feed down in here. But it's okay, they are tight enough. We don't have to tighten them. So yeah, that's the wagon. It's one of 3 that we own. This one's a really simple design. You can see just a hydraulic pump that runs everything. There you go, all done. Everything's covered in oil. This chain's covered in oil, and then all the way down, everything's greased. Ready to go on this wagon. Got one more wagon to do, and then the harvester. These covers take a little bit of messing around to close, but yeah. There we go. Getting the silo and loader set up now. Running it around the bottom of the silo to get it ready to lift up. But yeah, we're filling the small one first. 16 by 65. Alright, it's the next day now. We got an absolute dumping of rain overnight again. So that silo and loader's ready. I gotta lift up to the top, but we're waiting to hear back from a silo and loader guy, or the silo guy rather. There's a small hole in the bottom concrete door in the silo, and we just want to figure out what we're gonna do with that. If it's good, if I can just put Quickcrete in there, hydraulic cement, be good. So we're gonna get the next Ford's wagon ready. We have 2 of these New Holland crop carrier 8 wagons. This one and one more on the other side of the egg baggers, or the egg bags. We've had this wagon since it was new in 1986. It's been rebuilt cosmetically. My grandfather did that. Mechanically, not so much. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and grease it and oil this one as well. This wagon should be good for chain tension. I was just looking at it. But what I'll have to do is, these wagons like to break these PTO salves, and these New Holland PTO salves are expensive the way they're made with the rounded edge. So when these wagons were painted, what I think happened is they painted over the gear for the shear bolt, so now the paint is acting as a second shear bolt, so the shear bolt doesn't break but the shaft does. So we're gonna look after that this morning too, try and get it freed up. yeah, this wagon opens up a little different in the back. It can actually rear unload too. We've never rear unloaded these wagons in the 38 years we had them. Yeah, this one has had a new chain put in. The other one has not. So, yeah, this wagon just seems to be the more reliable one out of the two. So, we use this one more than the other one. And yeah, when things are going good and all three wagons work, sometimes we'll run all three, but more often than not, we'll just end up running two. Figure I'd show you the silo. You can see the little hole over there. Yeah, these silos have doors if you're unfamiliar with it. So all the rest of the doors are wooden, but that bottom door is cement. So it seems like it would be the same as if one of these doors had a hole in it. But I wanted to get a second opinion on it before we filled it. This silo's 49 years old this year. It'll be 50 next year. It's definitely getting up there in age. It has been re-coated on the inside a couple of times. I think Mom and Dad did it once, and I believe my grandfather did it once. Don't quote me on that. But yeah. Here we go. The silo unloader is still at the bottom of the silo here, but it's all set up, ready to go up. So later today we'll lift it up, then I'll climb up the silo and we'll get it set where it should be. It's only a 16-foot silo, so it does not have a center distributor on it. So just a small silo, 16 by 65. Definitely could have been a little bigger for what we need it for now, but when it was built, it was a good size for the farm. My grandfather only milked around 40-ish cows when it was built, so it didn't get used near as much as it does now. But yeah, there you go. Everything's oiled, everything's greased. This New Holland wagon's a lot more complicated than the Ford's King. It's getting to the point again where we'll have to do some work to these wagons. This chain here is starting to rub, so we'll have to cut this out and put a new section of floor in the front of the wagon here. They were rebuilt 10 years ago already, or 10 years ago this year, so yeah, and every year we keep putting more and more feed through them again. First cut this year, we're probably gonna have 45 loads or so in the small silo. That'll be 45 feet of feed in the small silo, and then probably another 45 in the big silo, so that'll be 45 loads through this wagon. So yeah, when we bought the wagons in 1986, they only really did, between the both of them, 65 loads a year. 16-foot wagon for a 16-foot diameter silo, fills a foot each load. So yeah, but it's all ready. Overall, I really like these New Holland wagons. There's just always a little bit of something to do to them, but yeah, when they're 38 years old, what else can you expect? They're gonna take a little bit of work to keep them running. They're definitely more complicated than the Ford's King, but I don't mind it. Alright, I just finished getting the silo unloader lifted up. Still have to fine tune it the last little bit, but you can see it's up there in the silo. I'll need a second person to run the winch or climb the silo, and we'll have to dial it in the last little bit. Probably another door maybe up there, or however much. But yeah, silo's just about ready. We got the last door sitting there. I set all the rest of the doors the other day. There you go. I got it all set up. I climbed the silo and Mom moved it down the last, well, we started about over there, so last little bit we got it set. You can see it's much lighter in the silo now. I went ahead and I opened that top door and I left it open. But yeah, there's always the last little bit of feed that'll never come out of the bottom of these silos. Yeah, that feed just stays there. If you've ever seen a silo being built, you'll see the base around the staves, and then in the middle will be dirt. Same deal with this one. So there you go. We're all ready to fill this whenever. Got the topper out of the set now. Just pulled it out with the 2750. That FP230 is a great harvester. We absolutely love it. The silo guy called us back. He said he's not worried about the hole in the cement door. He said we should just leave it. It'll be an extra drain hole for the silage juice that comes out. So it works for us. Then I don't have to patch it. So the silo's all ready to go. Just gotta get the harvester ready, and then we'll have to get some hay cut. Alright, we've been cutting away. We finished that first field on the other side of the farm there, the other side of the barns. Then, before chores tonight, I went ahead and cut this 12-acre field here. And then we have this 5-acre field down here. I cut it after chores. Don't ever think I've cut a field of hay this good. There's no short rows in here. No GPS, of course, just straight up and down. So there is a piece of land over there, another 5 acres. That field we cleared. You can still see all of the brush laying in there. We got to keep cleaning that up. We've been working at it. The long-term plan someday is to take this 15-acre field here and combine it with these. It'll make a big field, but it's alright. Or I think the other option is we have 10 acres down here and 15 up here, but we'll have to see. It would allow us to work straight up and down a little bit of a hill we got going on here. But yeah, we've been cutting away. I would have used the 2750 to cut hay today, except it would have taken a lot longer. It was very thick. Yeah, look at that field. The hay was very thick today, and even the 6430 I could only go about 7 miles per hour cutting. So it just would have taken a lot longer, and I didn't really have time today. Almost 8 o'clock now, and I still got to finish working on the chopper for tomorrow, so we can get chopping. We're gonna chop the far field tomorrow, and then a little bit of this tomorrow, and then the rest of this and that on Saturday. Yeah, I'm just gonna cut a strip up the field, then drive out there and go back home. Alright, we're working on the chopper again tonight. We're getting this processor plate out of it. For corn, we have to process it through these rollers to break down the kernels. for haylage, it's not as big of a deal. So we don't have to. So we take the plate out for haylage and put it in for corn silage. Alright, I got the chopper hooked up, shaft connected, working on the last little bit of the cabling into the cab for the inoculant applicator. My phone kept giving me issues last night and earlier today. It still has issues, so it's not perfect. I got the processor belt off and the plate out for corn silage. We like to get the feed through these rollers so it can be further processed. For haylage, it doesn't matter. It can come straight out the knives, down the auger, up the blower band, and out the chute. So pretty well, all that's left is to get the chute swung back over, to get the hay head on, along with the shaft connected, and then the inoculant applicator to unwinterize it. Put coolant in it for the winter. Here, the lid's probably too hard to get off. There we go. Yeah, put coolant in it for the winter. You can see that. See, our string just broke. I'll just tie it in a knot again. Yeah, it's all greased up. The only other thing I gotta do is sharpen knives. But yeah, things are good. You can see everything's well greased. A lot of grease everywhere. Yeah, so making good progress on this chopper. So I'm gonna hook up the inoculant applicator, run water through there, and then we'll be good on that. There you go, I got it running. Water's running out the tank, and then it's just dripping in the bucket here. I got all the coolant out of the lines pretty well. I'm just gonna let it run till it's empty. It won't take that long. While I shut all the covers on the harvester and switch the shaft to get ready to sharpen the knives. The shaft has to go up here so the knives reverse against the grindstone. I already pulled out the sharpening plate. But yeah, things are going well. There you go, I got the knife sharpened. You can see there's a couple impurities on some of them. They all tend to have a spot right there, but the rest of the knife looks pretty good. Spent around 10 or so minutes getting them sharpened up. Yeah, they look pretty good. So, once we get the hay head on, we should be off to the races. You can hear the inoculant still running in the background, or the inoculant tank. We'll get that set off in a minute. So I'm just gonna use 2 hands, put this plate back in. I'll get a second person to help me put the hay head on. Then yeah, we can start getting stuff moving. Alright, I apologize that the camera lens is dirty, covered in grease. But the chopper's ready to roll. We got our inoculant mixed up as well. It's sitting in here. Yeah, the lid's hard to get off. There's the dog sleeping. There we go. It's the inoculant. This lid's a super tight fit. There we go. But yeah, chopper's all ready to go. We got the spout swung over. ledger bar set, the hay head on. Hay head on was a process. But now we're all set. We just have to get the blower underneath the silo, out of the shop, under the silo. And then start filling wagons. So, yeah, should be a good run today of getting stuff done. It's ready later in the day, and we do have a big 10-acre field to do, but it's slightly more than 10 acres. I'm pretty sure it's 12 or so. But we'll go later tonight. We'll get it done, and maybe we'll start on the 17 acres we got for tomorrow. But tomorrow won't be as bad because we'll be able to start sooner. All the equipment will have already been gone over and hooked up properly. There's always a couple things you gotta check and re-grease, but stuff's good and ready to go.